Thank you for staying with Daybreak. It's a State of the Nation, so we're discussing quite a number of things at the same time. And Buddy, I didn't hear your views on the handshake fears, because this is coming at a time when President William Ruto was just in your backyard the other day. Has that had an impact? And is this why...
Did you attend the meeting? Did you attend the meeting?
No, did you attend?
Why?
At State Lodge.
I did attend. I was not invited first. But anyway, let me note... There's something I wanted to say on this cooking business. Could you allow me just to say?
Yeah.
You see, we have to do a parallel with the past. The president who inherited the worst economy in this country is President Kibaki. But it did not take 6 months before we started seeing the signs of a revived economy or a reviving economy. Within the first few months, already we had free primary education. We had a lot of things going on. The infrastructure development got started. And within a very short time, the economy was showing clear signs of revival. This one of cooking, the cooking is too much. In fact, I think Mungatana should give us a glass of juice. Kenyans are suffering. Let me tell you, in the village, when the president was in my backyard, people were shouting, fuel, fuel. It's only that it was not captured. Because Kenyans are suffering. Before you finish talking, fuel is the clarion call.
But Honorable,
let me now come back to the handshake, because that debate on the state of economy and whether we are doing badly or what, we will argue until evening. And we will not agree, because I think Mungatana is already persuaded that they are doing very well. They are cooking things.
We are starting.
Maybe he knows what we don't know.
We are starting.
Although we don't even know what is being cooked.
Yeah,
so at least.
we are not aware of, is it samaki ama? But let me... It's butter. Anyway, let me comment on this issue of handshake. I don't know exactly what is meant here by handshake. If it means going into government and working with Ruto as maybe a government of national unity, I don't think that is in the cards. I have no idea that that is something we can do, especially with the way Ruto is handling the economy and the running of the government as a whole. I don't think we would be comfortable to be part of that government. I think for the period that he will be the president, let him run the country and we play our role. What I know is in the cards is a discussion around some reforms. Number one, we want to discuss the cost of living. Kenyans are suffering. The fuel prices are high. The cost of living is generally high because of fuel prices. That is the one single driving factor. The others can follow. So we need to discuss that. And it is something that can be dealt with because we have overtaxed our petroleum products. That is a fact. And that is why even our neighbors, which are supposed to be collecting fuel from us, are charging it at a lower rate than what Kenya is charging.
Okay.
So,
but also you are the accountant here. There's something that came up on the Public Debt and Privatization Committee, which says between May last year and April this year, Kenya procured 19 externally financed loans from international creditors amounting to 213.24 billion shillings, and less than 11% has been dispersed. So how can then the economy be stabilized when there's some loans that cannot even be accounted for?
Those are the things that we are talking about. And I'm happy that this is brought about by a parliamentary committee, a committee that is headed by the opposition or minority side. And I will tell you that we have a lot of issues around debt. And that is why we created this specific committee to be dealing with debt. Because initially, debt issues were handled or bundled together with budgetary matters and dealt with by the Budget and Appropriation Committee. That committee is doing a perfect job. But this is what we have been talking about. Even in my committee, I would tell you, there are a lot, and Kenyans already know about some. There are a lot of projects where we borrow money or we start paying before the money is released to us. We start paying, you are aware of Aurora and Kumare, that is in the public domain. That we start paying the loans even before we receive the money. Which country can run like that? And it did not start yesterday. I would be very mean to this government if I say that these things were started by Ruto's government. This has been the practice in this country for a very long time. And I think we need clear audit on our debts and how they have been taken and how we are servicing them. In fact, I agree to some extent with Okiya Mtata that we probably could have finished or completed paying our debts way back. We are paying fictitious debts. And so this report will be discussed by Parliament, and I hope way forward will be found. And I hope the government will not interfere with the discussion around this, so that we allow Parliament to be in charge, to have oversight over the executive, over debt. But you see, Trevor, I had not concluded on the handshake. On these discussions, we are discussing around several issues. One of them I've talked about. We are also discussing the issues on electoral reforms. We are discussing issues on governance and the structure of government. Those are the issues we are discussing. And then after that, we will see where it takes us. We may end up even the referendum. So I think it is too early to start talking about handshake etc. Let's Kenyans talk about governance. Can this discussion lead us to something that would help us improve our governance system? But
Ekuru, you have not had much confidence in NADCO, which is the National Dialogue.
I don't. I think it's a useless conversation going on at Bomas. Because, one, it confirms the fact that the KK administration is not confident that they actually won the election fairly. Because if they won the election fairly, like Honorable Mungatana said, you've been given a job by the people of Kenya, do it. Why then are you entertaining conversation that hinges on your legitimacy? You know, and that's exactly what's happening. Because even when you talk about the cost of living, by the way, the cost of living will not be brought down by some fellows sitting at Bomas or whatever. It is through policy administrative measures that will bring the cost of living. And that you don't need a conversation on it. We have already taken note of the fact that, yes, the cost of living is high. So now government do something about it, either through policy, through the whatever measures, kama niyo chakula inapikwa ipikwe mara moja tukule, so that we are no longer starving. But to keep on, talking about this, let's talk about it. Even ODM, to be honest with the opposition, are losing direction, because getting about talk of a possible office of the official opposition, I've always maintained it, and I still maintain it. Constitutionally, we already have an established leadership in both parliaments. In fact, Opiyo Wandayi is the leader of opposition in parliament as a minority. And Ishungwa is the other leader. So we don't need to talk about this office of the official opposition. Honestly, I mean, and Trevor, in the context of the state of our nation, I think what the government really needs to come out clear and say, okay, Kenyans, these are the priorities. Today, discussing the office of the official opposition is not a priority for Kenyans. What is a priority for Kenya today is how do we reduce the cost of living? This issue of taxation is really affecting Kenyans. I mean, like I said, I still go back to the practical reality. If a Uber guy brings me and asks me to pay him 180 and ask him, fuel is 200, how do you run this car? That is the reality on the ground. And I think until we really speak about some of these, and then of course theft of public resources, corruption, it's robbing Kenyans of any opportunities. And of course, when and maybe Mheshimiwa Mungatana can respond to this. You see, government is not really explaining itself to the people of Kenya. And this is a requirement under our constitution. Accountability is a key principle of governing our country. When, for example, Deputy President Gachagua said that we inherited a dilapidated economy, there was no money in the national coffers. 35 billion was stolen within a certain time. Surely by now, it's 1 year, you have got the instruments of power, you have got the intelligence. Tell us, how can 35 billion leave an account? Which account is this? And it went where? Simple, basic explanation. Right. All this drama of let's have these consensus talks in Bomas.
But the reason why we're talking about the Public Debt and Privatization Committee revelations is that John Mbadi was speaking about dealing with the cost of living. One of the things that President Kibaki did was to put austerity measures. How do you address the cost of living? Well, we know that out of 10 shillings, 7 shillings goes to payment of debt. And yet now there's a revelation that 213 billion shillings loan, less than 11% of it has been disbursed, taken between May last year and April. How do you put these two on the same?
Trevor.
How does this happen?
Trevor, when Parliament works in a systematic way. Like when they have set up that committee that Honorable Bandi has talked about, there is a reason. And the reason that has been set up is because, as you have put it, and what they have explained, we need this because of this. But have you then started the process of investigation? No. Have you asked the Treasury to come before you to give you facts? No. Have you asked the central bank governor to come and explain himself? No. Have you talked to the chairman or the monetary policy of the central bank? Have they come before you? No. So we still have one side of the story. I'll tell you that when these gentlemen who have all the figures and all the facts will come, then maybe we'll start seeing both sides of the whole equation. My own take on this economy thing, and I want to combine it with the issue of national dialogue. This national dialogue, as they are discussing the question, some of the issues like the cost of living, what is happening is a political process. We don't have let me how do I put it? Significant. It's not what we have. Yes, we have a legal system that is supposed to create an opposition structured within the constitution, but we are all feeling that the president, for him to be checked properly by Opiyo Wandayi, it may not be, we are not talking the same language, because Opiyo Wandayi was elected from one constituency. And now this president is elected from 290 constituencies. Now the only other person who was able to get votes from 290 constituencies was his running mate. And that not running mate, his competitor, the Honorable Raila Odinga. So if that person is in a position officially to give suggestions or opposing views that carries some of the people within the country, then we are talking about a balanced way of doing the opposition. And I have argued, same way, when the governor is talking this way, the only other person who can give him proper opposition should be the guy who came number 2 to him, so that, or to her, so that then we have proper opposition. So when we are talking about governance, and we have that kind of structure, these things balance themselves very well. If you have a strong wife, and I think most of us do, educated, and they can see things, they will be able to tell you, yes, you are the head of the house, but this and this and that and that and that, okay? The decision is yours, but this and that and that and that. The decision is yours, but this and that and that. Why? Because she's literally a runners-up in that government, whether you like it or not. Actually, sometimes you may not like what she's saying, but she may be telling you the truth, And all of us live within that house government. Now, we know that the children, a child, if let's say you have 5, 6, a child is just one constituency. If a child comes and tells you, oh, Dad, I don't agree, utasikiza, but it's not a big issue. But if the lady of the house comes and tells you, Baba so-and-so, I am not with you on this decision, I think we could have applied the funds on this other investment, you listen more. Okay. So we are only saying, let us give the national dialogue a chance, so that the discussions can go on. Maybe something good will come out of it to improve on what we already have.
Okay, Badi.
Yeah, I also want to agree that we need to give the national dialogue a chance. But again, I want the country to make sure that this time we get it right. Because I don't think we can be in the same place every time we finish elections. We are back to the drawing board and having committees and having meetings and handshakes and discussions. We need to fix some of the things that are causing this, that are putting us to where we are. But on the issue of the office of the official opposition, I want to persuade Wakili court that really I don't think the issue is just about creation of the office of the official opposition, and that we already have it in parliament through the minority leadership. The issue here is about inclusivity. If someone comes second as a runners-up in our setup, should that person just fizzle away and disappear? Like Ukot here was running for president, if he came second, should we just forget about him with all the votes that he got and all the support he has across the country in terms of even the number of elected leaders who are looking up to him to provide guidance? I think that is a discussion that we have had, and we had it in BBI, and that is why I still own it. We tried to copy the American system, but I don't think we have reached that system. And that is where, again, I hope the national dialogue will not come up with a half-baked proposal of trying to fix a system on another system. This system of ours, and that was where I agree with Wakili Ukot, that our system is presidential system, which recognizes majority and minority. So if we are going to create an office for official opposition, it must be with the understanding that we are changing the structure of government. And now we are going to have a system which is a mongrel, because you cannot have a parliamentary system imposed on a presidential system. It cannot. I don't think it can work. Yeah. I am not an expert in constitutional law, but I don't think it can work. Finally, again, I'm coming back because we are mixing these issues, but it is still okay because it's the state of the nation. Yes. You see, on the issue of the debts and that committee, a committee of parliament, for it to bring a report to parliament, must hear evidence and witnesses. First, I am very sure and convinced, even without reading that report, that all these officers that Honorable Mungatana spoke about were invited to present evidence on the questions around the debt and the utilization of the same. So the Treasury must have been invited, Central Bank must have been invited, the monetary policy, all these must have been invited to give evidence on whether the debts that were taken actually came to the consolidated fund. My final comment on that, we made a mistake in 2013-2014. And I am the only member of parliament who opposed that amendment to our laws. That the constitution is clear. All money is raised, revenue raised on behalf of government of Kenya must be banked or deposited, must go into the consolidated fund, is when you start spending it. That is there in law. But then we came with amendment to the PFM Act, contrary to the constitution, and allowed that money can be raised and spent without coming to the consolidated fund. Hence these problems that we are now seeing. That you have loans that we are already paying back. You have loans that have not been disbursed to our consolidated fund, and we are already paying them. That was a mistake, and those are some of the mistakes, Senator Mungatana, that I find our legislator is getting into. And I've been a legislator from 2007. Sometimes I feel ashamed when I appear for public debate, and I'm supposed to defend a decision that was taken by legislature, which is completely wrong.
But is that sheer incompetence from the...
It is not incompetence. It is not incompetence, Trevor. It is lack of discipline.
Can I also...
As people's elected representatives, we need to be disciplined enough to understand who we work for.
So
we don't work for president.
When the people are starting to pay loans that has not even been disbursed yet, is it... Who do you know, where do you lay the blame?
Trevor, can I answer that question? I think whether we have Bomas 1, Bomas 2, whatever the case may be, we just have very bad political manners in this country. Because the idea of just politically controlling institutions, and I can even see it from the Kenya Kwanza administration. You want to muff the parliament, you want to control this. That's why you can even see in this sort of so-called rebellion in Luo Nyanza, some MPs are saying, dangling the fact that, oh, we want to work with the government for development. We don't have to beg for development. It's a right. It's a constitutional right of Kenyans. So even the idea that, oh, I'm working with government because I want to bring development to our people, no. That should not even be the issue. So the bad political culture is something that we need to change, we need to rethink, so that even as leaders are elected, the question really, and you raise a very fundamental question, Trevor, who is failing who? You know, I think the political leadership in this country is failing Kenyans. And whether people like it or not, there is a lot of disquiet in this country today. When we were debating, when Parliament was debating the finance bill before it became law, why did they fail to see the effect of that Finance Act on the lives of Kenyans? when you increase VAT on petroleum from 8 to 16%, surely you must have, I'm not an economist, but it's not rocket science that will affect even productivity, transport, the power to purchase. I think these are things that, and of course, when ODM MPs also walked out of that house, they also failed their constituents, because they should have protested, they should have, walking away wasn't a solution for them not to vote on the bill. They should have really debated, put it on record. And I keep on giving an example. For example,
walk out on finance bill.
No, you didn't. Quite a number of you.
No, those ones are people who misbehaved. but as a party, we didn't take a position to walk out. We walked out.
Some were absent.
I just wanted to share a quick example.
Some were absent.
I was also absent, but I was on official duty. But I came back and voted
on such a fundamental bill.
On the committee of the whole house. No, I didn't know it was coming.
But you see now, Trevor,
you did not know it was coming.
No, we didn't know. Actually, it was brought up too early.
And let me tell you
we remember that
was that deliberately done?
Trevor, that was deliberately done. And I complained about House Business Committee allowing such a bill to even come before the CS read the budget highlights.
Okay.
But again,
he was finishing his thoughts.
Fortunately, I came back and participated in the committee of the whole house.
Okay.
And voted.
So for me to conclude, I think the problem we're seeing generally, if you look at the state of our nation, is that the political class is a very dishonest group of people we have in this country.
You are also there.
I'm
a party leader, Senator. I'm a party leader, but I'll be very honest with you. I think the way in which we are playing our politics, we are actually not looking after the interests of the country, but our own personal interest. That's why you can even see now this debate about a leader of official opposition is being seen from an angle of an individual. You
don't see that it will foster inclusivity in any way. A number two nationwide. If today, the difference at the constituency level when there's one number
one of the
nationwide.
One of the pretenses about our country is that we like benchmarking. But we go to other countries to look at how they are doing things better, but when we come back here, we forget about it, because it's just tours and trips we're making. For example, I see nothing wrong with today if Shungwa and Opio and I worked hand in hand. If Shungwa is tabling a motion in Parliament, the next person to comment on that motion substantively should be Opio and I.
Correct.
As leader of minority.
And that is the practice.
And that is the best practice in any democracy. So that we don't need to go now outside that kind of... That's why I still hold the view. I don't think we need to debate about creating another office. Offices are already created there. Plus, what is the cost of this governance to Kenyans? It's another thing we need to ask ourselves. Do we really need to create more and more structures that will cost Kenyans more money, or do we just optimally use what we already have?
Okay. On the cost issue, and I'll come
let me say something about the cost issue. Uganda, I came from there just the other day when they were having their 61st independence anniversary and their national prayer breakfast. We were there officially. Now let me say this. Uganda is a smaller country than us in terms of size, in terms of the economy, but they have more MPs than us. You see? Now, someone may ask, even, why is it that we have nominated generals sitting as members of parliament in Uganda? In Kenya here, if you told people we are going to bring General so-and-so, Major General so-and-so to be nominated in the House, people will go up in arms. Now, the point I'm making is Uganda has had to bear that because of its own unique history, and to bring even into parliament the army because of its own unique history. Kenya, on the other hand, we've not had to carry that because we don't have that military history. But we have had to expand. We have had to expand the number of constituencies. It was in 290. We created one the other day, and then we had the county governments. Okay, because of our own history. Now, the cost of governance, of course, is very high. I have to agree with Prof here. But the question I have asked myself is, what have we forgotten? That saying, if democracy is expensive, try chaos. Try any other form of government. Try a royal government in Kenya. If democracy, if what Uganda is doing try and ignore the army in Uganda. You know, if what Kenya we are doing, try and remove the governors today, you know. So let us agree that democracy is not perfect, and the cost is quite high, but give us a better way. Should we say we govern through elders? How is the country going to be like? Should we say, so let us say the best we can do for our nation, and this is the position we have as leaders, is to improve on what we have. We inherited what Jomo Kenyatta, Moi, Kibaki, Uhuru have given us up to where we are. What can we do going forward so that we make this country?
Trevor, I have a question,
Yes,
I have a question.
Yeah.
You see, Mheshimiwa Mungatana, if today, for example, we just decided to really end theft of public money, you know, we may not even having a discussion around leadership and the cost of living. Because unfortunately, the resources that are being devolved to counties, to wherever, is just being stolen. One of the things that I wish really Bomas could discuss is how do we address the question of us spending more money on recurrent expenditure and actually not on development.
Okay. But
that's a big issue.
You can also address that.
Yeah, Trevor, there's something that I wanted to talk about, and it was brought by Okuro Court, that there is bad manners in this country in terms of politicians.
The political leadership.
I think our politics needs to be refined. Because you see, when you see a governor asking for 30 million or 100 million for a health facility from the president, that shows you where we are. Because really, we have allocated money to the county governments, all right? And so if that money is not sufficient, there are systems. Senator Mungatana here, his major role is to protect devolution and county governments. When you see a member of parliament begging for 10 million shillings from the president to give to women groups and youth groups, then the president tells him that, yeah, I've heard you. That matter, I think, will be taken to parliament for the budgetary process. That shows you that we have elected members of parliament who don't even understand their mandates. How do I go to the president to beg for 10 million to take to my constituency? The only thing I would do is to maybe change the CDF Act and allow the part of the 160 million that goes to my constituency to be allocated for women or youth groups. Maybe that is what we may need to do. So we as a country need to understand. Even our leaders don't understand their mandates. That is where we are. And that is why we have some of these problems that we see. But I want to...
Some of your own rebels said that they are shifting camp because they're looking...
Because of looking for development. Now, you see, as a nation, if we are embracing presidential...
It's a very lame argument because what development? Development is already devolved. So when they use that argument, they're actually being politically dishonest.
So if we are embracing, if we have embraced the presidential system, then let us operate as a presidential system. How is it happening in the US? How come Republicans have not formed the government? The government is a government of Democrats. But you have not seen even a single Republican defecting to the Democratic side to bring so-called development to their regions. Are these people not elected? They are also elected, including senators are representing specific areas. Members of the House of Commons are representing the specific areas, the lower house. So the problem we have is either we go back to parliamentary system where the government was part of the House and opposition was in the House. We have official opposition. So if you're running for president, you also run for a parliamentary seat. And in the event you don't win a president, you win a parliamentary seat, you sit in parliament. But I hope you will allow me to talk about the issue of visit to Nyanza because you asked.
Yes, go ahead. In fact, you can talk about it now.
You know, let me tell you something.
Why didn't you welcome the president in your backyard?
First, I was away, but even if I was around, I wouldn't have gone. Because to me, I believe that the president's visit was purely to sell UDA agenda. It had nothing to do with development. There is nothing new that Ruto brought to Nyanza. Let it go on record. All those things he was claiming to launch had been launched during President Kibaki's time. What we are waiting for is those projects to be completed so that they could be commissioned. The launching and commissioning are different. Let the president come and commission completed projects. You cannot launch a project twice.
Can I?
Let him finish.
Let me just finish, because I come from that region. I don't know whether Mungatana, you have more facts about this project.
Oh, no, I want
One of the projects is in the constituency I represent, 15 years.
Yeah.
The so-called Soris Tindo Magunga Road, Mbita Road.
Yeah.
This
That was
road
done Kitambo.
started in September 2021. 316 million was released to the contractor. He was doing 14 kilometers. He has done all the earthworks. What is remaining is for the completion. He's been demanding for payment so that he continues with the work. The contractor is not on site, even after the president left. What do you need? Give this contractor money. Don't give him 58 million. He was only given 58 million. He could not proceed with the work. Give this contractor money to complete the work, even complete the 14 kilometers or 20 kilometers. Come and commission those 20 kilometers. Then the work progresses to the completion of 74. But don't come and play politics with our people. It does not help. And by the way, let me tell you, and that is where I was heading to. Luos are very discernible voters, by the way. People think Luos are emotional as voters. We are not. Luos are very discernible. You cannot lie to us once, twice. If you come as a visitor to Nyanza, if you come as a visitor, Luos would hardly chase you away. Hardly, unless there's something that triggers it. But if you want to know how Luos value you, look at how they are treating your host. If Mbadi invites you, and when Mbadi starts to speak, they tell him, we don't live atukupendi. They will not tell you as a visitor, but they are telling Mbadi that you are telling us we don't want to hear. So the president should take that as a lesson.
Okay.
If he's coming for development in Nyanza,
yeah,
let it be development and let people see results. Okay. He told us when he was there on Saturday that on Tuesday, which was 2 days ago, he was to visit Museveni in Uganda and sort out the issue of the lake.
Yeah.
I didn't see Ruto leave this country on Tuesday. So don't lie to our people.
Okay.
Let me just say something. Number one, that boat that was launched when the president went down there,
MV
Uhuru, was not launched before. And it is going to create a huge industry. You know, those of us who live in the coast and what we know about, you know, making those things and the number of people it creates, the employment opportunities it creates, they're just tremendous. And when you see a governor, the whole governor saying, we are appreciating, but the member of parliament is not appreciating, he's not even present, I think, and then you come to TV and say all those projects were launched before, I think, because of my respect for you, I will just say, let's check the facts again.
But can I ask you?
Let me finish. Let me finish. I also want to inform my friend that I was in Uganda, okay? And we left, okay? We left and we all knew that the head of state was coming, okay? And we all knew that. Now, Uganda is just here, you know? Some meetings with another head of state can be done quietly. Some meetings can be done openly. Sometimes, I used to be a minister in foreign affairs. I remember Kibaki telling me, you go, take this letter, I don't know what the letter is written inside, but take it to Yule Kijana. That Kijana was the president of DRC. And he told me, when you sit with him and he reads this letter, I want you to come and tell me how he looked like on his face when he read what I said. And I'm given a special arrangement to fly. And I go, I sit with the president, I watch him, and then I come back to give the report. It's not publicized. Nobody knew we went. Nobody knew there was that connection between the president
but
and
that's
the
now where
president.
the problem is.
No, let me
because
finish.
Ruto
Let me finish.
publicized.
Let me finish.
And that's the point Mheshimiwa is making.
Yes, but I'm just trying to tell him, sometimes government works in a different, he knows, I mean, because he's been in government in the sense that we've all served in this system.
Assistant minister.
You've also been assistant minister, so during the coalition government, so you know how these things work. if the president didn't publicize it, maybe there was a reason. Because sometimes when you meet, you have to report something. When you're telling people that we had a meeting and this was agreed, and then you give a joint communique.
Yeah.
Sometimes there is no joint communique because it's work in progress, or there's something.
So I have a very bad quick issue
before he comes
to finish.
Allow me
so I'm asking. Let me just finish by saying that trip was very good, and I'm sad that Honorable Mbadi, who is a seasoned politician, was absent, because he knows, and I know, that a presidential visit, whether in fact, even today, if you know, Raila was president and he's coming to Tana River, I have no reason not to go. Whether he's relaunching or whatever, he is my president. Okay. And I have to give that office its due respect. You get?
Okay. Allow me to say this. Okay. I want to agree with Wakili here. Yeah. There's no problem with the government doing its own diplomacy quietly. But you know, when you go to a podium and announce to us and even give us a date, we hold you accountable. And Senator Mugatana, what I'm saying is not even what, it is only my feeling as John Mbadi. In today's bulletin news in Ramogi radio, the fishermen, the leadership of fishermen in Homa Bay have asked why the president did not go to Uganda on Tuesday. You know, when you make something public, a gentleman called Edward Oremo has just spoken. I was listening as I was coming here at the 6 o'clock news, meaning people hold you accountable. You need to demonstrate to them that what you told them you are doing on Tuesday, you have done it.
They will get the result.
Finally, I say it, and I still stand by my word. And that is the question I wanted to ask. I said that there is nothing new that President Ruto was launching in Nyanza. You have talked about the boat. You've called it MV Uhuru. Uhuru what? 2. Yes. Where is the MV Uhuru 1? It was launched. So are we going to launch every boat that is bought? Every time we buy a
Trevor,
we will have to go back to.
Trevor,
you see, you're talking like a person who doesn't understand the shipping industry.
No, but
if you understand the shipping industry,
actually, you know, I come from the lake.
So you know how it works when a boat like that.
The lake transport.
It's not about the transportation. It's the whole shipyard.
But are we going to buy every ship that we buy? Launch every ship?
Listen, I think I have a message that I hope Honorable Mugatana will take to the president.
Yes.
The less he talks and promises, the better for this country. There's too much talk, too many promises. I think what Kenyans are saying right now, we want to see action. In fact, one of the things that they may not tell you, Honorable Mugatana, is that you, Kenya Kwanza, gave a lot of promises. You said you had the plan. Now, right now as we speak, Kenyans are actually saying, actually there was no plan. At all. So I think
I disagree with you. I tell you, there's policy, there's legislation, and then there is the actioning of the plan. Unless you want us to be dictators, we have to follow the process.
You know, Mosh, as I said earlier,
but you have taxes.
I want the government, I want our government to succeed, because then I'll be a very happy Kenyan, and some of us will speak less. We'll even go back to the classrooms and teach law. But so long as their political lies are being perpetuated every other day, we will not keep quiet. We will have to remind you. And I think for me the biggest question I have for this government is there's too much talk, too much populism. In fact, that's what the taxi driver also told me, that the president seems to be obsessed with this issue of populism. For example, I don't think you should be going to Nyanza to tell people I've brought development, as if it's not their right. It is their right. Don't dangle the idea of development, because then you are saying to some regions that do not support it.
Can I say something on that?
Just allow me to finish. You see, the consequence of that argument, Trevor, and I think this is why we need to change our politics a bit, polish our politics, that the president should not be using development as a campaign thing. As a matter of fact, what Kenyans are now saying, that this president is back on the campaign trail. If you listen to DP Gachagua saying, President sasa wewe, wenda tu Nyanza, ile Rift Valley na mlima, mimi nitakuchungia. Do we really need that kind of talk right now? So to keep on dangling, because you are actually disenfranchising Kenyans. There are regions that say, okay, we never supported you fully, but now how are we taking that messaging? If the president keeps reminding, the presidency actually keeps reminding Kenyans that, this is what Mlima, we're Rift Valley, what about the rest of us from the northern part of Kenya or the coastal part of Kenya where Honorable Mungatana even comes from? So you begin to see you're being isolated.
Okay.
And to use the power of the presidency and that space that you have, to disenfranchise Kenyans, it's not a good thing.
Okay.
And in any case, Trevor, lastly, Kenyans want to see action. Okay. Kenyans want to see things getting better. We are dealing today with high taxation, cost of living. Yes. Those are the things that we want to see. What is government doing about it? Okay. But over and above that, please explain yourself. Okay. If you are not able to do certain things, tuambie avita snag, but we are doing this.
Let me say this. There is absolute need for the president to visit every region of this country. Now, obviously, the opposition may not like it, and they feel the heat, because when you go to visit, especially in areas that didn't support you, the opposition feels the heat. That is the reality. Why? Because when I go there, I'm going there as government, and I've got maybe things to give them, or just my presence, my mere presence means something to those people. But it is a responsibility. In fact, Honorable Mbadi here knows, because he's been an MP, that you cannot be elected and stay in Nairobi and say you are waiting for results. So you're waiting for the CDF to be released, ndio urudi nyumbani. Ati when I go, I'll be dishing education bursaries and come to Nairobi. No, he knows that you have to keep going home. I never stopped my campaign program. I never, and I can confidently say that I am one of the most visiting leaders in the county of Tana River. Some people think it is for campaigns, but I'm not. Hey, how do I represent the issues of the people in the Senate if I'm not listening to them? How do I carry the ideas, listen to the villages, go and hear the NPR has not been released. Oh, the minister came the other day, promised that the boundary issue is going to be finished. We have not seen that boundary issue. The president came the other day. Oh, we were launching this program. We haven't seen. And I need to be there. So, of course, the guys who ran against me or who thinks they want to fight me politically, when they see me in their villages, they will not be happy. Yeah. But that is my responsibility. In fact, the duty of every leader. Yeah. And we must stop this negativity. You know, sometimes it's not good to always just see the negative in things. Okay. When the pastor visits your home and you are part of the flock, and he visits your home and he's coming to pray, don't just think he's coming to pray as P-R-E-Y. Okay. He's coming to pray P-R-A-Y. Okay. Don't see everything negative. Okay, and this is the thing that we need to change.
That the senator has said, that just the fact that that side did not even vote for him, but he's there, his sheer presence means that he's opening the ground for everyone to come on board at a time when there's a conversation on shareholders.
Let me correct, and I'll come to the shareholder aspect. Let me correct, maybe if a notion was created, a narrative, that we don't want the president to visit. The president can visit, the president can bring, so to speak, in quotes, development, and actually development is our right as a community, as a region, and as a country. Every region of this country is entitled to development. In fact, we are even asking questions why a section of this country, more particularly northern Kenya region, was excluded from the national development agenda. But you see, Trevor, you cannot come to launch a road. I want to repeat. A road that has already been launched, a road that was supposed to be under construction. The contractors left site in October last year. Up to now, no serious work is going on that road. Please organize for the contractor to come back. Then you can come and either relaunch it if you want, but don't come and launch something that does not exist. Do you know that the day the president launched the road in my constituency, even the contractor was not there? How do you launch a road without the contractor? You call the carer representatives from Homa Bay to come with one, with one grader. I mean, we are intelligent people. That is what I want to say. We are not fools. We are very discernible. And this narrative, I want to tell you where these people fail. This narrative of trying to portray, pretend like you're bringing development, and you leave your foot soldiers, who are very ignorant anyway in politics, to tell people that the source of underdevelopment in Nyanza is Raila Odinga and the Jaramogi family. When we have clear history as a community, Trevor, that between 1967 and 1992, there was no Jaramogi or any descendant of Jaramogi, son, or who was anywhere near the government. 24 years. And that is the period that we saw serious underdevelopment. The community can see very well all the period that Raila is in government or is supporting government, what we have achieved. So please don't come with that lie. It is a lie that cannot stand. But I know Wakil is itching to go. On this issue of shareholding, I must also speak to it. First, the president and the deputy should transition now from campaign to leadership and governance of the country.
Totally agree.
I want Gachagua to read Article 73 and understand that decisions that he should make should be impartial and objective. That is number one. Number two, I want to take him to Article 129 and understand that the executive authority is derived from us, the people. I want to again move him to Article 131 for him to understand that is part of the presidency. And presidency under Article 131(1)(e), and I know these lawyers could know it even better, gives the president a responsibility to be the symbol of national unity, and he is part of the presidency. Finally, under the same article, he is obligated to promote national unity. Let him not talk like representative of Mount Kenya in the government of William Ruto. I know what he wants is to be the spokesman of Mount Kenya, but that is going contrary to the responsibilities of his office. Okay. How I wish he has advised.
Can I say something on that?
Yeah. And this is the problem with putting someone to deputy president who was not politically matured.
Can I say something? No. Can I say something?
Let me finish.
No, you know, deputy president, he was with me in parliament. I was his boss.
No, but Mwesh, I have to jump into this, Trevor.
Yes.
You see, the problem also in this country is when even people who are not in government become disrespectful of those who are in government. For example, how do you expect DP Gachagua to take it when Raila says that one of the most shameful things to have happened to this country is the fact that he's a deputy president of the Republic of Kenya? I think Raila said that.
But
that is very hurtful. No. It's very hurtful.
That is where I was heading.
You know, it's very hurtful and so demeaning because this is, whether we like him or not, he's the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. But I want to agree with you.
Does he respond by now?
Okay, he doesn't.
He is the deputy president.
But that's why I'm happy that in this show today we have spoken about bad political manners from either side. I think let me go to the fundamental question about development. The problem, Trevor, and I think the president can go to any part of the Republic of Kenya, like Honorable Mbadi has said, because he's a symbol of national unity. But he should not be going to this region to try and politicize the whole idea of development. To say that, oh, I'm bringing you development. He is not. Okay. As a matter of fact, if I was the president of this country, I would not even be talking about development. I would probably be having frequent conversations with the governors of this country, with members of parliament, and I would be talking about how to unify this country. Okay. Instead of dangling the idea of development. After all, this development he dangles doesn't come from his pocket. Okay. It is the people of Kenya who are actually sponsoring it.
All right.
Yeah? The less we politicize development, the better for this country.
Let me just say this.
Yes.
The people who are in opposition, by the way, have a right to say anything and everything, so long as it's respectful and it's adding value. So there are things they will say, but just take them with a pinch of salt and understand that they still have that bitterness they lost the election. But we, as the people who are in government, have a responsibility to govern. And the president doesn't go to Nyanza without invitation. There are people there who want the president to go there. And it is his responsibility as an elected
But he doesn't need invitation, to
go there. No, I'm saying there are people who want him to go there. Not only that, but I want to add one other thing. When Vice President, Deputy President Gachagua talks about shareholder, he has so many times tried to clarify that statement. But people have hit on him, and, you know, demonized him. What I wanted to say is that we take direction from the party leader. The party leader has come out clearly, who is the president, to say that development is for everyone.
Okay.
The country is for everybody. Has shareholding.
Right.
It keeps on.
You know, that's what.
Gentlemen, thank you so much.
No, I'm saying this is what the president. This is what the president has said.
Trevor.
Yes.
And if the president says, that's where we follow.
Okay.
Trevor.
Irrespective of whatever any other person says.
Do you hear the president?
That's what I'm
Let me
saying.
ask.
We follow what the president has
Okay.
said.
Senator.
Not what the DP
Senator,
has said.
can I just ask a question?
Yes.
When the deputy president says, Mimi ndiye nitachunga Central and Rift Valley, what does he mean? Who chungas us?
No, so this is what.
Or is it deputy
No,
president?
let me give you my answer.
Be honest,
Safina Uma with a conversation on local manufacturing. Thank you, gentlemen. We have to leave it there. Bye for now.